honestly, I'm pretty pessimistic about the course of the EU-China relationship. I think we are now in the phase of this being redefined by both the new geopolitical factors, developments, but also I think that Europe has come to terms with the reality of not being able to change some of China's behaviors, and that concerns some of our core values, including the human rights, very practical issues like forced labor and so on. And apart from that, the uneven access to each other markets, which used to drive the EU concerns some years ago, this did not go away. So I think that this relationship is much more stable than, let's say, the China-US relationship. The potential fields of confrontation are not that broad, but I think we need some adjustment, and adjustment is there. We've seen that on February 1st, on April 1st meeting, and I think it's good. The biggest challenge for me is China acknowledging that these European concerns are real and not calling for independent policy, hinting at us just following the US lead, but rather be more careful to listen to the EU concerns to find some kind of a working relationship.
It's a very dangerous thing to predict anything about China, and actually right now, given where the world is, we're in a moment of enormous change. And we can see that, if you look back 5 years, things were very different between EU and China. It was full of promise, trade was booming, relations were managed. Whereas now, it's very different. There's a lot of tension. The geopolitics are terrible. And even the relatively promising sectors like climate diplomacy, which both sides recognize are important and in their own interests, they haven't really been protected from the negative impacts of the external world. So I think on the upside, you could say, well, things are at a very low point and maybe they will improve. On the other hand, if they go on as they are, I think we're looking at a very shrinking space for all kinds of exchange, including just cultural and people-to-people exchange. All of that is shrinking, and that's a great shame. So I'm not terribly optimistic in the short term. I think in the long term it'll find a new balance.
Well, it's a very long time where it's sometimes impossible to see all the elements that may add to the process, but knowing that EU-China relations are very important but also very complex, and recently have been facing a number of issues, I certainly look into a period of time where we reach a relationship where certain aspects are addressed. And first of all, I think is the issue of reciprocity, which has been discussed as one of the main problems of a relationship, where the two sides may not be giving each other the same accesses and privileges and criteria for cooperation. So I certainly hope and wish that in 5 years we can address this discrepancy in reciprocity. Second thing, I think EU has said very strongly that it's a single market, a single trading area, and these principles are sacred to EU, and they need to be respected in each trade relationships that EU has with a third party. So I certainly hope and look forward to the relationship between China and EU, in which EU single market principles are respected and in fact made beneficial also to the two sides. And the third element, which is not third because it's less important, but just a pillar of our relationship, I think, is that the relationship needs to really focus on the issues of human rights. And I certainly hope that China would agree in 5 years' time that human rights are not a domestic issue, but an important pillar of United Nations system from which we all profit, that need to be part of the agenda and need to be improved.